What's going on, guys? Gonna draft some Dog Bowl qualifiers tonight. Filled up pretty quickly, which is nice. So, only have drafted two of these so far this week. Looking forward to it. I really enjoyed these last week. Feel like it gave me a really good view of the landscape, what the sharp drafters were picking, how to value players, and resulted in a nice win in the six man. So, won 4,000 in the Battle Royale main. That Brian Thomas Jr. touchdown that got called back really hurt, but still really happy with that result. And yeah, gonna be doing a lot more of these now that I got some money in the account, and it's gonna be a pretty borpy week with the running back. So definitely gonna prioritize H-Chan here. Let's see who we got in this lobby. Buster Boys, who's always in early. He's the CLV king, meaning he just loves to get in these lobbies early when you got Jaden Daniels, 4.2 ADP, just hoping there's some weaker players that are going to take him at that price, and that's where he likes to build some super teams. So he's not much of a scroller. Doesn't mean he'll never scroll, but from what I noticed, he just likes to get in the lobbies right away, build these quote-unquote super teams, and then you don't see him as much later in the week. So he's definitely a VORP king. He's definitely a CLV king, and he's definitely an early drafter. So gonna pay attention to what he likes, because I don't know what projections he uses, but he seems to be ahead of the game. Big PGA guy too. He's pretty much in every PGA draft. I was big into those earlier in this year. I did the math. I finished $4,000 in profit doing PGA drafts, and I honestly didn't know a ton about what I was doing. I just know golf pretty well. So I feel like I could improve on that even better. My biggest score in that was 3,000. The most those slates will really get is 5,000 up top. They're not the biggest, but they're definitely beatable. So that's where I recognize him from. Let's take a look at the board. So this isn't how it's going in Battle Royale 6-man. So this is where you kind of pick up an edge from these really sharp drafters in the 12-man. You got Jewish McCaffrey, really good fantasy drafter. Not a ton of guys I recognize. Usually I recognize most everyone in here. You'll have Nez, Dave, my buddy Chad. Oh, man. So yeah, in BR, you got Lamb going around here, Rice going a bit earlier, Jaden going a bit earlier a lot of the times. Surprised to see Mahomes go this early, but I guess he's just trying to stack up Rice, maybe go for Worthy third round. Good to see Debo go this early to a GOAT badge tag. Got him third round earlier today in a Dog Bowl, so good to see. Just taking notes, honestly. It went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight running backs. And then there's just a huge tier break after that. So for what I'm seeing early, the sharp drafters are just really prioritizing running backs. Makes a little bit more sense in the 12-mans just because there's a lot more scarcity, whereas in the 6-mans, there's only 12 going off the board max. Some people might even do 3 receivers. So you can wait a little bit more and go strong receiver early in the 6-mans typically. But it just gives you an idea, like Breece Hall going 7th overall to Jewish McCaffrey, whereas in the 6-mans, he's going ADP something like 22. So might want to load up on a good amount of Breece this week, even though the Panthers have been pretty decent against the run. Trey McBride, I would have been a little weary about playing against Green Bay. They have a good defense, but Marv's unlikely to play, so he should just get a ton of targets. Even against bad defense, even with the backup quarterback, still seems good. And then Rome going 19 is a little worrisome. He's been going a lot earlier in 6-man, something like anywhere from 10 to 13. So the sharper drafter is not in love with Rome, but that's surprising because DJ Moore unlikely to play. So we're back on the clock. Take Scatabo, Justin Fields. Looks like it's about to be a bit of a tier break at running back. I like Jordan Mason here too, but we could probably get him a bit later. I'm going to go with Cam Scatabo, just assuming he might rise. Don't love targeting Cleveland and Denver defenses. Just seems like a recipe for disaster. But running back's just so scarce this week that we want to take the projectable volume. So it feels good to have 2 running backs off the board. If I didn't get, I would say it kind of tier breaks after DeAndre Swift for me. I guess you can make an argument for Kamani Vidal, but if I don't get 2 of those guys, I'm probably going 1-3 this week, meaning 1 running back, 3 receiver. These projections are based on Underdog, so the solver is going to be a bit wonky. But for what it's worth, I did use the solver pretty heavily last week in my drafts, and that did get me an 11th place in BR. I was ignoring it a ton, mixing my player takes, whatever, but it kind of keeps you on track. Sometimes I was scrolling a bit too much. Let's just say it's late in the week and there's a couple guys I want to jam in. Maybe don't jam all 3 of them into the same draft. Do 1 at a time. Do all chalk 1 scroll, all chalk maybe 2 scrolls. But I found my all chalk for 3 picks and then 3 scrolls were just getting a bit too off the map. So it kind of keeps you in line in that department. And then you could just scroll with your last pick or 2 picks. And then also once the legit projections come into the solver, it just does a really good job of directing you in the right direction. Literally for the past couple of weeks, it's pointed to the nuts. So 2 weeks ago, it was Javonte. It also kind of steers you away from bad picks. You gotta be careful though. You don't want to completely fade guys. So it looks like that next tier of players is Dobbins, Mason, Swift. So I imagine to see Dobbins, Mason, Swift go off the board soon. I'm starting to learn the ADP landscape. That's kind of my goal early in the week. Just you can go into your first few drafts and have no idea what you're doing. Then eventually you have a very clear idea of how you want to play out these drafts, kind of know who you can let slide a little bit, who you got to reach on. And if you don't have a feel for that, it's a little tough. So we're on the clock. We're just gonna take the best receiver. Take Jalen Waddle. Don't love double stacking or secondary team stacking Miami. I guess we could even technically go Tua here. I guess we will go Tua. He's gonna be low owned. At this point, we're making a bet on the Dolphins. This game has some potential to shoot out. And if it does, imagine we leap the field pretty significantly. I mean, it's not like no one's going to have Achane or Waddle, but if we stack Tua on there and we maybe bring back Fannin, I think there's some merit to that. I mean, we don't even necessarily have to bring back a Cleveland piece. We could just say Miami really shows up this week. Don't love it. Most of my drafts, I'm going to avoid these low game totals. It's just kind of the way the ADP values fell to me. The secondary team stacks can work though. Huge play to Waddle, gets tackled on the 5-yard line. Achane punches it in. Vice versa. 70-yard run from Achane, gets tackled, and then Waddle gets the goal line touchdown. That's a little less likely. I like the other story I'm telling myself, but you could also just have Tua go for 4 touchdowns, and this is what you need this week. It doesn't matter if Cam Scatterboo goes for 10. It doesn't matter if he goes for 15. If this trio stack goes for, let's say, 60, 70 points, then that could be the separator. Not going to do this a lot, though. I kind of wish I took A.J. Brown instead, but we see A.J. Brown fall good bit. Waddle, I got 6 picks past ADP. So essentially, we're just building a Dolphin stack at this point because no one's going to fight us for it. Maybe the Waller drafter, but that'd be interesting. Triple stack hasn't gotten home yet, though. We're not tacking Waller onto this. Just playing the numbers game. I've been tracking every week what's been getting home, and that has not gotten home yet is the triple stack. How do we want to play this out? We know we're going to play Tua last pick. Wide receiver is pretty flat at a point. I mean, Tet's nice if he falls. Unlikely, though. Keenan's pretty nice if he falls. Unlikely, though. Could play the QJ Q-tag game. Can just blank out running back. Don't think I want to bring back. Just with the low total, I don't think we want to play into this game environment. Just do the double stack and hope to hit our one-offs. I think it's the smart way to play it. I think I will take Keenan. Almost jinxed it. Yeah, really high total. Falling a little bit because he hasn't been great recently. And if QJ sits, he's going to steam way up. So I think that's a nice early week pick. Even if QJ plays, I don't think he's going to fall that much. So I think that's a reasonable play. So to recap the team so far, we had the 4 pick. Got Devon Achane, Cam Skattebo at my 2nd pick. He's ADP 19, got him at pick 21. Then Jalen Waddle paired up with Achane at pick 28. He was ADP 22.2. I think he's falling just because the matchup against Cleveland, not great. But for what we've seen this season, they've been a little bit of a pass funnel. It's hard to run against them. And if there's any running back that can get home against that defense, it's going to be someone like Achane that catches a lot of balls. So you're just kind of telling yourself the story that Tua throws a couple touchdowns, 1 to Achane, 2 to Waddle, and it's a low-scoring week, so you just get home on that stack. And then we really just need to look at tight end. No one's going to snipe Tua. Famous last words. I like Goddard. Again, a crazy amount of targets. Hunter Henry was popular last week. But he was on the field a ton, even though he didn't get there. Waller, I'm not playing the triple stack. Ertz, we could play into that game environment from a different angle. Mason Taylor is really nice with Garrett Wilson likely to sit. Let me go ahead and get us into the next dog bowl just so we don't have to wait. But man, yeah, I've been all over it all season. So to get home last week was really nice. Pads the bankroll and just gives me some validation that what I've been doing is working. Because I've been a 1v1 away from the nuts every week. And I finally basically hit the nuts. 11th place out of 66,000, that's the nuts. Hunter Henry post-flop lag, low total though. Ertz in a high total, but might be getting Terry back. And then you got Mason Taylor with no Garrett Wilson. Who else are you going to throw to? Josh Reynolds? But then you got revenge game, narrative. Fair. Patriots head coach was previously the Titans head coach, so just gonna imagine if they get up big, they're just gonna keep their foot on the gas. That's what I'm playing into. Mason Taylor, I do like a lot, but I think we're gonna be able to get him with our 6th pick in a lot of drafts. I think he's going mostly undrafted, so gonna see if I could push that and then take Hunter Henry at ADP here. Pretty much drafted at ADP outside of Waddle value, and then Tua should be unique. And then also just the pairing of Achane and Waddle, I think is going to be somewhat rare in a 5,000-man field. And my theory is that I wouldn't love it if it was a pure north-south guy, a guy that just gets there purely from running up the middle or trying to get around the edges. But Achane catches passes on the outside. He's a red zone target. And Cleveland has been vulnerable to the pass, if anything. So that's the angle I'm attacking. is that you could pass on Cleveland, and yeah, Dolphins have one of the best pass catching backs in the league. So, and usually I don't love the running back wide receiver double stack with the quarterback. You prefer doing wide receiver, or wide receiver tight end, 2 pass catchers, but just back to that theory, Achane catches balls, so it's totally viable. Other guys that can get home on that theory, Christian McCaffrey. Let's look at the board. Jonathan Taylor can get home on that. Jacobs not as much. I don't love pairing Love and Jacobs. I feel like Jacobs does most of his work on the ground, but it doesn't mean he never catches balls. I feel like this team's pretty nice. I would have liked Jordan Mason over Scatabo, but I just feel like the way ADP shakes out right now, I can get Jordan Mason in the 3rd round on stronger wide receiver teams. Yeah. Plus, you could run on Denver. It's been done this season. And this game, like, sneaky has shootout potential, even though it's a low total. So this is the contrarian. Might shootout, probably won't, but if it does, everyone else is going to be on Chargers, Indianapolis, which I have a piece of if it does. And then it's also leverage off Lad. We're cooking. We're cooking. Wouldn't be surprised if we look back and this is the winner. Let me take Kyler. Are you out of your mind? I mean, I guess you could play the Q-tag game, but there's just no point. I don't know why they're projecting him so high against Green Bay. It's a dome game at home. I wonder what that total looks like. I gotta take a look at that. We'll take a peek at some totals. Team totals. Game totals. Oh, I'm 5 picks away here. Well, we auto-drafted CeeDee Lamb, which I don't hate. I think he's a really good play this week, even though I could have got him much later. It's just based on my rankings I have in, which I should probably remove. Okay, I'm on the clock. We got Tua queued up. Yeah, let's just do it. All right, for the audio listeners, we got Tua at quarterback, Achane, Scatabo at running back, Waddle and Keenan at wide receiver, and Hunter Henry at tight end. So it's a Dolphins double, and then 3 one-offs, 1 good game environment, and then 2 lower totals, but good players, bet on talent. So we got CeeDee here. I don't know if we're even going to really be able to get a good running back at this point. Yeah, it's just they just go so quick. Might just have to go elite receiver here. Can do the Debo CeeDee pairing. Just bet on this game environment. Take a running back later. Let's just play into this game environment. Why not? Don't love Ferguson this week. People are drafting him as if CeeDee is sitting. So we got the mini correlation here. We won't be able to get either quarterback. I mean, we might be able to get Dak. See if we can get Dak. And then we're going to have to punt running back. Maybe we'll get one of these values, but it's very unlikely. They've been all going 3rd round, so gonna see what we could do. I liked my last draft better. I was still drafting the other one. Forgot we hopped in this one and it autoed CeeDee, but all good. That's how I have him ranked. So just imagine we can get better CLV on him. And then we're set at receiver. Actually, we're not. We're gonna have to go 3 receivers. This is shaping out to be a 1-1-3-1 for sure. Who do we have in this lobby, by the way? Crutches at the 101. Buster Boys in every draft. Goes Scatabo at 14, which makes me feel better about the last draft where we got him a bit later. We got him at, what, 22? And then Dave goes Rasheed at 13, which is interesting. Been getting mixed takes on Rasheed. Some people love him this week. Some people think he's way overpriced. Goes Genty at 12. Kind of gave some of these guys a value at running back. Don't think it's really worth taking Lamb here. These running back cliffs are really scary. So all good. Just one draft and a bit contrarian. Because most people are going to be getting CD here. And you'd have to be reaching on Debo. So we're just betting on a really, really high game total at this point, and then just hoping to find some running back value. So we're 5 picks away. It's really unlikely J.K. Dobbins gets back to us. Although Crutches has 2 running backs. Everyone else has at least 1. Tyler Warren goes, so 2 tight ends off the board already. I think a lot of people are thinking the same way on Ferguson that I am. Just with the idea of CD coming back this week, his target share should drop pretty significantly. Doesn't mean he's not towards the top of the tight end list, but I'd rather get him when he falls than reach on him like we have been the last couple weeks. All right, we're up next. Let's really hope this guy doesn't take J.K. Dobbins. And then I'll be feeling a lot better about this build. Nice, he takes the guy we didn't want. I think we could push Dak. I mean, it's unlikely we get him, but I'm fine going naked or stacking our tight end. So let's go J.K. Dobbins, or else we're really going to screw ourselves at running back. And this is certainly going to be a 1-1-3-1. But yeah, getting in these 12-mans early last week really helped me see the board clearly in the 6-mans. I just feel like if you're only doing 6-mans, you're drafting similarly to the way people are in the 6-mans, just based on ADP, whereas in the 12-mans, people are drafting completely differently. The ADPs are way different. The running backs are way more prioritized. Even the elite tight ends are a bit more prioritized. Just things are a lot differently. So then if you carry that over to the 6-mans, you're just like, wow, I can get this guy at this pick. Wow, I'm like essentially building a super team in the eyes of the 12-mans. So I feel like a lot of people dedicate themselves to the 12-mans, or they dedicate themselves to the 6-mans. But I think there's some value in doing these 12-mans early in the week, and then later in the week shifting all your focus back to the 6-mans. And that's what I did last week, and I got 11th in the Battle Royale. If Brian Thomas didn't get that touchdown taken back, I would have gotten 2nd place. But you never know, because that whole game could have played out differently, so I don't really like playing that what-if game. But and I honestly didn't even know that play got taken back until Monday when some people were talking about it. So I was content with the score. Won a pretty nice chunk there. And yeah, I credit it to doing my most volume yet in the Dawg Bowl last week. Got in about 20-25 drafts, nothing too crazy, and catched a handful, but had nothing towards the top. But I just feel like seeing how these guys are drafting really helped me attack the 6-mans from a sharper angle. I don't know if that makes sense, but because like a lot of these guys that are already getting taken here, example, Xavier Worthy, AJ Brown, J.K. Dobbins, Jordan Mason, those guys are just going completely undrafted in the 6-mans. So it's nice. You're just like, okay, those are some guys I need to sprinkle in at the tail end. Same thing with Brian Thomas last week. He was pretty much chalk, but he was only 70-80% in the 6-mans, whereas in these, he was consistently a 3rd-round pick. So all right, the sharp guys really like Brian Thomas, Ladd McConkey in the 3rd round, where Ladd, before Quentin Johnston got ruled out, was hardly going drafted in the 6-mans. But even before that news in the 12-mans, he was consistently going 3rd, 4th round. So it just kind of, it's almost like a time machine drafting in these early. You almost get an idea of what's going to rise later in the week once ETR comes out. You almost get an idea of, oh, like how can I build a super team now? And I can't remember if my 11th place team in the Battle Royale last week was an early team or a later team. I'm going to have to go back and look. I don't know if there's a way to check that, but all right, we're not going to take another running back. We will take a third receiver. I think we're just going to keep attacking the high game total. We took Keenan in the last draft, but I'm going to take him again. Just really attacking these high game totals at the receiver position. Don't see anyone else I really want, and Dak did get taken, so I'm going to go Keenan here. Just assuming if Quentin does get ruled out, he's going to steam up pretty big time. I imagine, I don't know, maybe ADP 30 by the end of the week. And from what I know historically, hamstrings are rarely a 1 week deal, almost always 3 to 4 week, just because of pretty severe re-injury risk. So I'm not touching it, and I don't think he's going to get that much more expensive if he does get cleared. So I'm going to avoid it for now. Just take my bets on Keenan, take my bets on Ladd, and then eventually those guys are going to steam up if Quentin's out, and then I could just stop clicking them if not. So yeah, like how this started, got what I view as the end of a running back tier break. And then now we just got to get a quarterback and a tight end, which is pretty easy to do at the tail end of these. We were saying we liked Mason Taylor. We were saying we liked Zach Ertz, but we're already playing this secondary mini correlation. So I don't think I want to do a double there. And we can't stack the quarterback, so there's no double possibility. So I think that's just eating at their ceiling potential. I just don't think either CD or Debo can go for 30 if our tight end Ertz has 1 or 2 touchdowns. And then also you have to worry about these guys kind of cannibalizing each other in a sense, but at least they're big play guys that won't eat a lot of clock. Whereas running back correlations are pretty bad, because if the running back's doing well, they're just eating up a bunch of clock. So I wouldn't love going J.K. Dobbins, Scatterbo whatsoever, especially in a low game total. Like, it didn't even get there last week. I had a Rico Javonte team, and Rico smashed, but if Rico's smashing, it's just so unlikely Javonte is. So much rather do it with the receivers, and we've seen that get home the past couple of weeks with JSN. And the first week it was JSN and Ibuka, and then last week it was JSN and BTJ. So it's a lot more viable just when these guys can hit one big play. CeeDee Lamb 70-yard touchdown. Next thing you know, Debo goes for a 50-yarder on a jet sweep. So totally viable. Then we're leveraging off the other Chargers pieces with Keenan. And it's just kind of a condensed offense right now on LA. And I think Keenan's got some regression capability here. Like the way this one started. If we didn't get Dobbins, I would have been a little worried, because running back's just a little ugly this week. And then quarterback, we're obviously not going to have any stack partners. So we're going to have to go naked. We could go naked. We could stack Knicks with J.K. Dobbins, but the reason I won't do that is because my dog bowl data I've accumulated so far, quarterback, running back, single stack has not gotten home once. Almost every other pairing has, like running back plus wide receiver or running back. Yeah. Bryce Young naked against the Jets, no. Could go Jackson Dart naked on the J.K. Dobbins bring back, basically saying, all right, J.K. Dobbins scores 2 on the ground. Dart's going to have to go crazy in garbage time. I think I like that angle. Plus he has the rushing upside. I think that's a nice correlation there. Once again, not the best game total, not the best game environment to bet on, but we do have the 2 biggest totals already mixed in. So if we can find some leverage here on a lower total game, that'd be really nice if it hits. And the story we're telling ourselves makes a lot of sense. So, and then Mason Taylor, last draft I wanted to take him, but we took our tight end with the 5th pick, knowing Tua would be there in the 6th. And I didn't want to reach on him. I'd like to see if we can get him in the 6th. I think that's a really nice value. think it's a little greedy reaching on him in the 5th, but if I can get him in the 6th here, that will be pretty nice. Just assuming, I mean, let's look at the Jets. Got Josh Reynolds projecting for 6.5 points. That's Underdog projection, so take that with a grain of salt. But Allen Lazard, Arian Smith, it's pretty much going to be run the ball with Justin Fields and Brees and then dump it off to Mason Taylor. I'm a Jets fan, so take this with a grain of salt. Might be a little biased, but that's the way I see the game plan, unless there's some kind of emergency trade or pickup midweek, or Garrett Wilson miraculously feels better or is cleared. But from what I've seen, he's going to be missing multiple weeks. So it does not make a ton of sense to take that Q tag unless you just want to play the swap game later in the week. If I did have Jaden Daniels, I would for sure go Ertz here. But I don't love the mini correlations, doubling up on those just for the reasons I stated, just for cannibalization reasons. So Mason Taylor makes a lot of sense, but if we get sniped on him, maybe we take Bowers Q tag and swap to Mayer. Don't know if Mayer is going to get 100% drafted again this week. Wasn't last week, but don't know if he's going to become more popular. Ooh, could go Theo Johnson Dart with the Dart stack. I think that makes sense. If we get sniped on Mason, I still like Mason Taylor, and I still like going Dart naked. But if we get sniped on Mason Taylor for some reason, which can only really be done by these two guys, don't have to worry about these guys. We have Kelsey and Fannin. And another take of mine, I love Kelsey, and the nutritionist for the Chiefs, who sat next to me at a World Series of Poker event, was so high on Kelsey, was telling me it's the healthiest he's been in his career, just eating super clean, working out like crazy in the offseason, really determined to do well after last season. Said he was really distracted with commercials, yada, 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 all the Taylor Swift stuff. So Travis Kelce was one of my most drafted players in best ball. But that being said, this week specifically, I think he's being a little overpriced. His role and Rashee Rice's role are pretty comparable. Just that over the middle target, especially when they just really need a first down. I just feel like that's usually Kelsey when Rashee's out, but with Rashee back in, now that's going to get 50-50'd. I don't not like Kelsey, and I still love him in best ball and rest of season, but I just feel like people are overvaluing him a little bit this week, similar to Jake Ferguson. So I won't completely fade him, but at that price, I'm not loving it. Theo Johnson or Mason Taylor one off. I think I'd rather just take Dart naked. Mason Taylor's just going to get it. I think Mason Taylor's going to steam up big time. Let's just take him while he can. Let's just take him while we can in the 6th round and hope he becomes a 5th rounder later in the week. I think ETR will be high on him too. Like, who else are they going to throw the ball to? And to be fair, the Jets got the Broncos last week, which aren't the easiest team in the world to pass on. I know it was a really, really tough game, but I mean, it was overseas. It was in the morning. It was a tough defense for the most part. And now you get no Garrett Wilson. You get the Panthers D that you can't really run on, but you can certainly pass on. So if this isn't a CLV value, I don't know ball at all. So this was a more wide receiver heavy build, whereas I feel like most of my builds, I've only done 4 so far, and I feel like most of the field builds lean towards running back heavy, like this Jonathan Taylor Swift pick or Breece Hall Scattaboo. We went 3 receivers with their first 4 picks. Can see that getting there on a 10-game slate. Not the worst. Let's do one more. Should have hopped in early, but at the same time, I auto-drafted CeeDee Lamb last time because we were still finishing up the last draft, so all good. I think just the way I'm seeing it in these 12-mans, we're really going to want to prioritize running back. I think I'm Javonte over Rico. That's the way my ranks have it. That's the way my early projection sources have it. And just all right, Rico's been doing great. And I'm not even going to put the Chuba might come back argument. My bigger argument is the last 2 weeks Rico's been involved in high total environments. Last week was the highest total on the slate, right? Carolina Jets is not even close to the highest game on the slate, so highest total on the slate. So that's one reason, right? The other reason, which I think no one sees and everyone's completely ignoring, Garrett Wilson's out. Almost certainly 100%, right? Which means there's no field stretcher for the Jets. There's no one on our roster other than Allen Lazard, who doesn't have Aaron Rodgers to throw deep balls to him anymore. Other than him, who's going to stretch the field? Who's going to speed this game up? Who's going to make this game go fast for the Jets? Literally no one. And how many running plays do you expect the Jets to run? League average or above expectation? Like almost certainly above expectation. And I'm not saying that means definitely take Fields and definitely take Brees, although I think they're good values in the 6-man. But how many snaps is Rico going to get? Like last week you have Pickens going, oh shit. Dak just threw another deep bomb to Pickens. Panthers already have the ball back. Like the Jets are so slow paced that you're just not in a million years going to get 200 scrimmage yards from Rico Dowdle. So I think it might be one of the worst first round picks of all time this week. And I know this is a really strong take. But yeah, that total is what, 40 points? Let's pull up some totals while we wait. Fantasy Labs is my favorite place to do it because they just have a really nice way to sort it. Whereas if you're looking through a book, it's just kind of clunky. So let's take a look. You go here, NFL, Vegas. First off, let's just look at game totals before we look at team totals. And I also like to look at the live compared to what it opened at. You can kind of see what the trends are. You see this, holy crap, Cowboys, Washington went up 6.5 points. That's insane. So that just means there was a huge amount of steam on the over when it first opened up. And Vegas is hedging their bets. I guess Jaden looked really healthy last night. So yeah, that's an insane total. Glad we got that mini correlation in the last draft. But let's take a look. Jets and Panthers down 1 point, so trending downwards, 43.5 to 42.5. Yeah, last week Rico was a part of the highest total game environment, and now he just simply isn't. And the Jets just play so slow, and there's no field stretcher. So who's going to speed up that game like Pickens did for Rico? That's why that mini correlation works so well. I just see Fields running. I see Brees running. I see little dump offs to Mason Taylor, which is why we picked him up in that last draft. I don't know. Rico's a hell of a talent, and my concerns are different than everyone else's. Everyone's worried about Chu, but mine is just game script. And that game ends up being 17 to 10, maybe 13 to 7, something similar to what we saw with the Broncos Jets. I just don't see Rico hitting his ceiling. And even if he scores a touchdown earlier, they're really going to need to lean on him like they did all game last week. It might be a full fade for me. Maybe not in the 6-man because you can get him a little cheaper, but he's just going way too early in these. I'd rather take CD. I'd rather pull up Justin Jefferson. But that's just the way I see it. Judkins goes 3 here over Achane. So I guess people are concerned about that Browns matchup, which I get. I don't want to be overweight Dolphins whatsoever. Yeah, it's nice. Judkins can easily smash. I'm gonna take Javonte over Rico for sure. Brees, I mean, same concerns, right? I mean, if Rico smashes, same deal. He's just gonna slow that game down. They don't have a huge over-the-top guy other than Tet, but Tet's been more red zone guy, or I don't know. It's not really a deep threat, or at least hasn't shown that so far. I mean, I think he had a 40-yard catch 1 week, so I don't want to completely say he's not a deep threat, but I just see that being a slow-paced game where I think some of these other running backs can hit a higher ceiling this week. So Rico falls to 9. Brees, Genty. I'll go Justin Jefferson. No, ADP 15. There's just such a running back clip. I'm going Genty. I just don't want to play into this Jets-Carolina game. I'm sorry. I will take Brees in the 6-man because you can get him in the 5th round. But here's my first rounder. I just don't want that to be my anchor. I'll say it one last time. I don't want to be a broken record, but without Garrett Wilson, there's no one on the Jets to go over the top. There's just no one like Pickens last week to speed up that game from the other side of the ball for Rico. So not only is he not a part of a huge total this week, but I just see that game playing way slower pace. So that's how I see it. My 11th place in the Battle Royale had Rico Dowdle, so don't think I hate Rico Dowdle. He was an awesome play last week. It's just a much different story I'm telling myself now. And the Carolina defense has been decent. You could throw on them, which is why I like Mason Taylor. But all right, we're not going to take Mahomes this early. Let's just focus on running back, wide receiver. Unless is Trey McBride still around? Might take him. We got at running back still. Anybody? JCM. Just took Scatterbo. Just took Dobbins. And you can get them a little bit later than 16, so I don't want to reach on those guys. I would consider JCM. I would consider Pickens at this price. He is falling. Early in the week, he was really expensive, and I didn't like that. He's still a little overpriced, in my opinion. But there's just nothing really great after him, though. So he's a bit of a tier break. And it's not like just because CD comes back, he's not a good play anymore. I think I will go for the running back, though, so we don't have to do the 1-1-3 build again. Play into the high environment with JCM. Didn't have a great week last week, but I played him 2 weeks ago in Battle Royale and had 100th place finish. He was less than 1% drafted, and how I got there was I read the Establish the Run article on the O-line, D-line mismatches, and they had the Commanders O-line at 6th overall, and they had the Chargers D-line at 30th, and that was the biggest mismatch on the week, but no one was clicking JCM. So it was pretty obvious leverage spot. Obviously, it wasn't obvious that he was going to score 2 touchdowns, but it was betting on an offensive line, defensive line mismatch and betting on a low-owned guy to get there, especially in the 6-mans. And I wasn't really even doing 12-mans at a decent clip at that point. Last week was the first week I really dove into those. And as I was saying earlier on the stream, I fully credit my 11th place finish in the Battle Royale to doing a decent volume in the Dawg Bowl last week, because I was able to see early in the week who all these sharp guys really liked. Got to see who was undervalued in the 6-mans compared to the 12-mans, because there was guys in the 12-mans going second round that were going undrafted in the 6-mans. You're like, wow, that's a guy I really need to mix in. So definitely helped me build a better portfolio overall. Just see the board more clearly, have more confidence in my plays. So even if you're a little intimidated by these drafts, and even if you think that the rate's too high or it's too top heavy and you'd rather deploy your bankroll elsewhere, I think it's worth at least jumping in a few early in the week to get a good feel for ADP values, who's going to rise, who the sharp players like. And if you see someone sharp that you really respect taking guy over and over and over, that could be one of your top exposures for the week. And you could just really lean into that. And even if it doesn't get home, when it does, you're really going to hit. So just think these are a really nice view into the future of what the 6-man ADPs are going to look like later in the week. And that's how, I don't know for sure, but I think that's how I ended up building a really nice super team. Because that's what you needed last week. You just needed really nice ADP values. You needed guys from high game totals. That Rico Pickens mini correlation was really huge, and it wasn't rocket science. It was the highest total on the week. It was just a matter of being able to get all those guys into a lineup. And same thing with Josh Jacobs. The Packers had the highest team total. So once again, not rocket science. He was going fourth overall in every draft. He wasn't, some scroll the F down. But he was, I literally first day of the week, I was getting Jacobs 6th overall, 7th overall. And if you looked at projection sources early in the week, if you looked at game totals early in the week, you knew for a fact he was going to rise. I was even talking to Chad Mashke. Sorry if I'm saying your last name wrong, but we were talking early in the week, and I was like, Jacobs is for sure going to rise just based on team total, projections, etc. And then he settled in at 4th, and that's how he was one of my highest exposures at a good price. And how I was able to pair him with Pickens, Dowdle, Trey McBride, BTJ, and I think that was the squad. Yeah, Pickens. So I imagine come Saturday, Sunday, you couldn't get that team. And BTJ was mostly undrafted at the beginning of the week for 6-mans, but he was going 3rd round in the 12-man. Check. All right. It's kind of a scroll, but I feel really good about it. So just a little insight into how I hit that score last week. And I also literally been 1v1 off the nuts every week. First week I had the nuts minus Kenneth Walker, who had 3 points. And I shit you not, every running back I scrolled for that week, and then any running back that went in every draft, literally every one of them smashed for 12 points, 15 points or higher. And Kenneth Walker was my one scroll in my portfolio that didn't smash. And I only clicked him maybe 2 or 3 times, and he happened to get in this lineup that had Justin Fields, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor. I can't remember who my RB2 was, but it was the nuts. Garrett Wilson stacked with Justin Fields. Puka Nacua, who went ADP 15 week 1 for some reason, smashed. Trey McBride, who did well week 1, and no one separated. And then Kenneth Walker at 3 points. And that hurt. I'm pretty sure I would have shipped the BR if I had almost any other reasonable running back. And, I hate playing the 1v1 game because anyone can play it, but it's just encouraging. I was like, all right, I'm on the right path. Okay, we're on the clock, so let's make sure we don't screw this up. JCM. Okay, we auto-drafted Quentin Johnson, which I guess I wasn't paying attention. Let's go Tucker Kraft and backstack Love. And then we could also take another Packers receiver back there. I think I like that double angle. Do that. But as I was saying, yeah, I was a 1v1 week 1. It was the only running back in my portfolio who didn't smash, because every running back smashed that week, and wide receivers really didn't. And I got to Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson, both 3% owned or something stupid. I know Garrett Wilson was 3% owned. Fields might have been higher, but it was super low owned, and had the nuts all around except for Kenneth Walker, who literally the next week went off for 18, won someone a Dawg Bowl seat, and was called by someone on the Badge Bros stream like, oh, you were sharp for scrolling to Kenneth Walker here. And then literally the next week, Charbonnet was out and Kenneth Walker was the chalk. So he smashed 2 weeks in a row after that. So that was like a huge slap in the face. I was a 1v1 away from Kenneth Walker. And then he smashes 2 straight weeks. In hindsight, he hasn't been great this season. And then last week, I had got a 100th place finish and was a 1v1 from the nuts. That was super conceivable. I can't remember what it was, but I won't even bore you guys with bad beats. But long story short, we got home this week, and I was a BTJ touchdown getting called back from ship. No, it would have been second place because one guy was ahead of me with BTJ. So it's just encouraging. Being a 1v1 away each week means you're doing something right. And I'm starting to really learn these 12-mans. I'm really just starting to put volume in. So I feel like the sky's the limit in these as well. really too hard when you only get 3 people each week qualifying, but if anything, I view it like batting practice going into these 6-mans. And once I get my volume in for this week in these 12-mans, I'm going to say I'll probably do 15 to 20, maybe 25 max. By the time I'm done with these, I'm going to be like, so ready to hit the 6-mans. And I have done some 6-mans because I think there's some nice values to be had early in the week. I think Javante's underpriced. Javante Williams. Where's he going here? He's going 7th overall in the 12-mans, but in the 6-mans right now, he's more like 13. And yesterday, I was getting him at like 16. So I think you could still get some CLV on Javante in the 6-mans. So I think it's like really worth getting in there early too. But I'm just saying, like, you get in these, you see who these guys like early, and then you just take those notes and you go into the 6-mans hitting the ground running. And I'll take notes. I'll have, you know, all the streams I listen to, player takes. All right, this guy that I really respect likes all these guys. This other guy I really respect likes all these guys. And then I'll literally randomize. I'll go into a draft, take chalk, and then go into Excel, have a guy takes. He might have 10 guys he likes this week. I'll go random number 1 through 10, hit randomize. Oh, okay. Number 7th guy he likes. Doesn't mean he's projecting better than any of the other ones, but they're all scrolls, so it doesn't really matter. They're all projecting within a point or two. Let me just completely randomize it, and that's kind of how I mix in my sharpest guys players takes each week. And a mistake I was making early was like, all right, and I'm not going to name names, but let's just say source A really likes these guys. A mistake I was making was jamming 3 of those guys as scrolls. It's just too thin. Do 1 at a time, maybe 2 at a time. Or if there's some kind of mini correlation, mix that in, but don't do, let's just say Dinkmeyer likes Rashid Shaheed, Josh Downs. Okay, we're on the clock. Let's not blunder. Love. I'm going to go Love. And then a scroll Packers receiver. So let's just say Dink likes Rashid Shaheed, Josh Downs, and Kayshon Boutte. It can be really stupid, even in the 12-mans, to take all 3 of those guys on the same team. But it's very viable to take 1 draft at a time, 3 drafts in a row, and take 1 of those guys as your last pick 3 times. Or if you've got an abundance of guys they like that you think are all sharp takes and you don't know where to land, I just like to randomize. And that's what I've been doing. I've been doing that with Pete Overzet's weekly gems. All right, these are his quarterbacks, these are his running backs, these are his receivers, these are his tight ends. Let me randomize. And if it's chalk, cool, I'll maybe mix in a couple. If they're all scrolls, like these are all low-owned QBs, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, none of them are getting 100% drafted. Let me do 1 or 2 at a time. That was my mistake week 1. I think that's what cost me when I took Kenneth Walker. Was I scrolled too many times in that draft. Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields was enough of a scroll as is. Garrett Wilson was only 3% drafted. I don't need to get cute at the running back position at that point. Where I should take Kenneth Walker, though, is on a team where I'm taking all chalk at receiver and every other position. So let's go Packers, see what's available here. Golden Dobbs. Okay, let's randomize. Well, let me make sure I click them so I don't auto draft. Golden's just got so much more upside in my opinion. Let's just go Golden here. And if we do another Love double stack, we can take Dobbs. All right, let's do 1 more. I'm liking what I'm seeing on the boards right now. This will be the final one. Ooh, beautiful. It fills immediately. Love to see it. And we get the 3rd pick. That's awesome. Actually, I kind of hate it. Kind of hate it because there's just such a clear tier gap after 1-2. JT Jacobs, and then choose your own adventure. I mean, obviously, these two guys, Quinshon Judkins, someone just went Judkins 3. I don't know if I can get there. I don't know if I want to keep taking Achane at 3, though. Could go Barkley. The way my projection sources have it right now, have Achane 3, but ETR is what I rely on later in the week. So it's kind of a frustrating spot. At least we get one of these 3 running backs. We just took Achane, so let's randomize between these 2. I guess Barkley, because we can get Judkins later. Assuming we got a 5, 6, 7 pick, I imagine we can get Judkins. Taking Saquon 3rd, though, doesn't feel great. What am I saying? Saquon's a beast. Just hasn't been there this 22 carries, 18, 19, 6, 12. Tough defense, The Giants are an underrated defensive line. Tampa Bay, pretty rated defensive line. I wouldn't call them overrated. Rams, good defense. Chiefs, good defense. Maybe they've just played really good defenses. And the Vikings aren't cakewalk. But I'm pretty sure Judkins did pretty well against them, didn't he? 13.3, 23 carries, 110 yards. I think I'm telling myself the story as Saquon bounces back this week. I didn't really realize his matchups had been that shitty. And everyone's like, oh, what's wrong with Saquon? What's wrong with Saquon? What's wrong with the Eagles? That's low-key tough schedule. Giants are kind of no joke on defense. I know that Cowboys game shot out, but that's kind of a one-off. Let me get another Eagles player upstairs so I could take another look at this. Kansas City, pretty legit run D. Rams, pretty legit run D. Tampa Bay, pretty legit run D. Denver, I know Jonathan Taylor got there against them. 28.5, 25 carries. It's not like they're ungettable, but game script wise, it just kind of makes sense. And then Giants defensive line, not the easiest in the world. So, I mean, if Saquon smashes any given week to his ceiling, he's going to immediately be the 101 again. Like, if Saquon goes for 40 here, are we all not just going to pick him 101 next week? I mean, who do they play next week? Let me find that out. Play the Giants again, man. And then the Packers? Okay. I mean, that's crazy. Probably gonna have to wait until November for like the true Saquon smash ceiling weeks. Lions, Cowboys. Cowboys, he's gonna be the 101. I can't imagine he's not the 101 against the Cowboys. Just looking forward. Bears, probably 101 if he smashes against Cowboys. Bears, Chargers, you can run on like I talked about before. That's how we got to JCM 2 weeks ago. Achane smashed against them last week. They have a really bad defensive line right now because what's his name's been out for a minute now. Oh boy. Khalil Mack. Raiders, Commanders. Yeah, Saquon's going to be chalk like rest of season. So let's see if we can get ahead of that. I think he's had some really tough defensive matchups. I think it's going to continue for the next 2 weeks after this one. Let's see, are we gonna have to go 1-1-3-1 or take Dobbins or Mason? I don't want to do Mason because that running back, same game running back correlation is just garbage. This is the tier gap for me. I just don't think I really want to take these guys this early. Let's see what running back looks like. Waddle, Debo, Ladd. Trey McBride went. Could go Tyler Warren to set up the Daniel Jones stack. How far? Okay, I pick again at 27. I can conceivably get Dobbins. Who's more likely to fall, Dobbins or Warren? Probably Warren, right? Just with the running back scarcity. I just don't love reaching on Dobbins here. The way these guys are drafting, though, they just don't really leave me much choice. Hopefully can get Warren and then set up a Daniel Jones stack. Go something like Pittman. Okay. Well, at least I was in line thinking with this guy. I know he went to the Dawg last week. Or last year. So it was between those two for me. Maybe should have gone Warren, just betting on game total. Value over replacement. But I mean, running back, look how scarce it gets so fast. I mean, I guess there's like arguments to be made for some of these guys. Like I like these two guys decently. Pacheco's not the worst. He was on the field more than he has been all season last week. Pretty high game total. Whole matchup. Play the Q tag game here, but so hard with Rico. And I was just saying why I don't like that game environment. But let's stop queuing running backs because we have to. Don't really want to. Pretty ugly. I'm just going to go AJ Brown, play some kind of Eagles-Vikings stack. Hopefully Hurts comes back to us. Don't even really love pairing Hurts with Saquon, but we'll do this double if it falls. Otherwise, we'll just kind of lean into some kind of Vikings bring back, either Addison or Hawkinson. But we don't even necessarily need a bring back. You could just bet on the Eagles bouncing back. Kind of telling ourselves that story we told ourselves before where AJ Brown deep bomb and then Saquon punches it in. But it's actually a little harder to tell yourself that story because Hurts vultures so much. That's really what's been killing Saquon is most of the time if they get it on the goal line, you just aren't getting those touches. So you need him to break that long play, and he just hasn't been doing it. But after looking at their schedule, I think it's been tough sledding. So I kind of like a bounce back, and I think he's going to be chalk in November. So chalk meaning like 101, and then super high owned on redacted. Let's take a look at the board. Once again, 7 straight running backs. First receiver, CeeDee Lamb. You have Pickens going over Justin Jefferson. JJ going at 15. That's a nice value. Although we've seen Pickens go way later, so you could just flip these guys and it's not unique. Scatabo going 18. Went 14 before, so pretty happy about my share at 22. Berg still being overvalued a bit, I think. Dawg going all over the place. Kind of tough to gauge his true value. I just think Dolphins were an easy matchup. I don't know if he's the best click. I'm not going to full fade him, but that seems like a bit of a reach on Mahomes, to be honest. Raiders are a division opponent. Division games always play tough. You're just almost guaranteeing you're going to be weak at the flex. I don't know. I get the Jaden Daniel arguments. Weird that this guy stacked Jaden with 2 Chiefs, but to each their own, you know? This guy definitely thought he was getting worthy. See, I don't mind the Kelsey after you get sniped on these 2 guys, but I still think Kelsey's overpriced this week. Love Kelsey. I just think Rashid cannibalizes his role a little bit. What do we want to set up here? No one's taken Hurts yet. We'll probably get sniped on him. Anytime you talk about a player, they almost always get sniped. Not because people are necessarily watching, but just kind of a jinx. Just kind of a jinx. But as I said, Saquon and Hurts kind of negatively correlate, so I don't necessarily need Hurts to play into this game environment. I won't do the dart bring back this time. We'll just do Dobbins naked, no bring back. Just bet on the Broncos smashing 30-0. Even though, yeah, the Giants D is pretty decent, but Broncos are a different beast at home. And sending a rookie to Mile High, I know we just clicked dart not that long ago, but the other story you could tell yourself, just a rookie on the road to Mile High is a disaster. No Malik Neighbors. That's a tough task, but best of luck to him. Definitely rooting for him. Like, yeah, Scottaboo might be a terrible pick too. On the road. At Mile High. I don't know. Like, I didn't expect the Broncos to smash last week because they were in Europe. That's hard for any team. Especially like a West Coast / Central team that's on an even earlier time zone. Ugh. Okay, we weren't going to triple there. Hurts did go, so I did say as soon as you talk about it, get sniped. Whatever. No biggie. Guess we'll try to set up a Daniel Jones stack to Pittman. And if we get sniped on Pittman, we'll take Addison. That's fine. Playing into a high team total, high game total. We didn't really finish up looking at fantasy lineups. Team totals. I want to look at team totals. What's trending? That is, like, what's up compared to what they opened at. Chiefs have the highest team total. Wow. Then the Commanders. Bears are high too. The Cowboys. Packers are high. Chargers are high. Colts lower than I thought, but up 1.5. So maybe I shouldn't be playing into the Colts as much as I think. Maybe I should be playing more into the Chargers side. More Bears. Chiefs. Interesting. Where are the Eagles? 23.5, 23. Higher than I thought, honestly. Then Vikings a little low. So, okay, we do get sniped on Michael Pittman. No, we didn't. Actually, I just didn't queue him. Nice. Okay. Don't necessarily need to buy the bring back on Minnesota. We still don't know the quarterback situation there. Let's go Pittman. Leverage off JT. But man, can you run on the Chargers? Doesn't feel good leveraging off JT, but if JT fails, this is one way it gets there. There's also some leverage up early around Tyler Warren. Those touchdowns can go to Pittman and sink those teams, so don't need it. Now, I guess we could still bring back Hawkinson. Any decent one-offs? Hunter Henry after ADP, Harold Fannin after ADP. Ertz to buy into that game environment, super high team total. It's probably Ertz for me. But Henry would be more of an ADP value. Although these ADPs are kind of fake right now. Yeah, didn't think Fannin would fall there. I don't think any of these guys will fall, to be honest. Don't mind continuing to bet on Mason Taylor. Even though I don't like that game environment, I just think he can easily get there and can easily steam up. Little thin on the 6-mans, but 12-mans seems really good. And we're going to be doing this show every Tuesday, Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So subscribe if you want to catch us at that time. We'll mix in some random streams here and there. Maybe some, cram shows before Sunday lock. Post some shorts, things of that nature. But if you want a reliable show, one you can catch every week at this time, it will be Tuesday and Wednesday nights. Kind of just filling in that void for these drafts where, a lot of streams are going during the morning, during the afternoon, and not a lot going on at night. So if you're a night owl like I am and are drafting at night like I am, this is the place to be. And I'm feeling damn good about my process right now. I took the Underdog Masterclass. I've gone through it 3 times. I'm on my 4th time going through it, and it's just learning new things each time. I was deep in the weeds this summer since May, just watching a ton of content, sifting through projections, who's undervalued, ton of best ball. So I just feel like I'm just seeing the board very clearly this year in the interesting. Why is this projection showing 9.77 whereas Underdog's got a 6.9? I mean, I don't need to bring back. I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to assume Mason Taylor is going to steam up later in the week as content comes out. Not much content out right now. He's going to be highly talked about, I promise you. So for our audio listeners, we wrapped up with a Daniel Jones to Michael Pittman single stack. We've got a Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown mini correlation, a J.K. Dobbins one-off at home against the Giants, which seems like, not the best matchup because the Giants have been pretty tough defense, but Broncos tend to play better at home and should get the volume. And it was the end of a tier. It was either that or probably going to be a 1-1-3-1 build. I didn't want to pair Saquon with Jordan Mason, even though I also like him in that tier. Just don't really love the running back. The running back correlations for reasons I've stated, just because it kind of takes the ceiling off the other one when the other one's chewing up clock. So didn't want to do that. Let's take a look at what Crutches did. So he agrees Jordan Mason's a nice pick, 3rd round. Paired him with Jonathan Taylor so he could do the 1-2-2-1 pretty comfortably. Went with DJ Moore, Q tag. Imagine he'll swap, but he's probably not thrilled to see that Luther Burden went because that was probably his plan to swap to. And then I will save this draft board. something that I'm trying to make sure I do. And then another little tip is that not only should you be saving these draft boards, you should be saving a timestamp too. So for example, here's where I'm saving it. And I will say timestamp 10/14/25 Tuesday at 10 p.m. That way when I see, oh wow, that guy really went cheap in this draft, or oh wow, that guy went way too high, I can kind of have a reference for when that shift occurred. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. One last thing. If you are new here, make sure you comment May. That will make you eligible for this Drake May Silver Prism Rookie. It is a select concourse. I will randomize after Monday Night Football. I'll randomize the comments. Just comment May, M-A-Y-E, to be eligible. Your odds are really good because we are really just hitting the ground running. We are a new stream here. So if you comment May, you're probably going to win a rookie card, Silver Prism. So comment Drake May, make sure to subscribe, like the stream, and we will see you guys tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern and every Tuesday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is the night shift with Fantasy Sharks, and see you in the next stream.